Bro, if I don't make over 50,000 in a month, I'm negative.
This is when I was like on 9 to 5s. I told myself I would never get a 9 to 5 because I was making so much bread on YouTube. I'm like, hell nah, 9 to 5 not for me. Like, I'm not working no job.
There's a reason a lot of NBA players go broke, even though they're making as much as they're making. When you're signing $100 million, you really thinking $100 million, not realizing you're losing 40 million of that.
All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at some more celebrities and influencers going broke. I like making these videos because it definitely proves the point. If you're not financially literate and smart with your money, you could definitely end up going broke no matter what. It doesn't matter if you make $10,000 a year or $10 million. We have a ton of stuff to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below, but let's just jump right into it.
These are some celebrities that went bankrupt. So Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy at $32 million in debt after purchasing over 100 luxury vehicles, 3 Bengal tigers, and even a $2 million bathtub. 50 Cent also declared bankruptcy for $32 million in debt, though his losses can be chalked up to failed business deals. Drake Bell filed for bankruptcy in 2014, owing $500,000 to the IRS as a result of inflated expenses and just an income of $2,500 per month. Athletes are notoriously bad, with Michael Vick declaring bankruptcy in 2008 as a result of his role in a dogfighting ring, landing him in prison. Vince Young wiped out a $25 million fortune because of personal spending habits, including $5,000 every week at the Cheesecake Factory. And finally, Joe Giudice from The Real Housewives filed for bankruptcy for $11 million after being charged for defrauding lenders and ended up being deported to Italy.
And we could just keep going on with the examples, celebrities who died with serious financial problems. And we'll start off with a very well-known one, Michael Jackson, the king of pop who earned billions but died with $400 to $500 million in debt due to massive spending and loans. Judy Garland, the legendary star of The Wizard of Oz, she struggled financially for years and reportedly died with very little money. Whitney Houston, one of the best-selling artists ever, but reportedly was close to financial collapse before her death. Burt Reynolds filed for bankruptcy in the 90s after major career success and luxury spending. Gary Coleman, a child star from Different Strokes whose parents mismanaged his money, he died with major financial problems. And we're going to see another similar example like this a little bit later in the video, but we'll just move on to the next clip.
I'm seeing like a big uptick in influencers who just have no money and are just completely broke despite having made, you know, like up to $100,000 a month in their life. Yeah. And it's just, some people don't seem to realize that like your income and your net worth are super disconnected ideas.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me that nobody like understands how to save money. There's just this culture of blowing out all your cash.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody who becomes a YouTuber just kind of assumes strange assumption, but they just assume that this is going to last forever.
Yeah,
and that this fan base that I have here is not going anywhere.
Yeah,
and it seems like such an insane assumption because there's really like people coming into the game every single day.
And even though I feel like we've been hearing people talk about this for years, saying things like being an influencer isn't going to last forever, it's extremely unlikely to keep your fan base for an extended period of time, along with the constant influx of new creators coming on the platforms every single day. But regardless of that, we still see examples of influencers having financial problems all the time. We got a comment from you guys that goes very well with the next clip. It's so crazy because these were the same people that were clowning people who had jobs and worked a 9 to 5.
So I went from having a house, I had to downsize to an apartment because I had to make that YouTube money stretch. This is when I was like on 9 to 5s. I told myself I would never get a 9 to 5 because I was making so much bread on YouTube. I'm like, hell nah, 9 to 5 not for me. Like, I'm not working no job. Hell nah, I just graduated high school. I'm not going to college. I don't need college. I'm making 15, 20K a month. Let's really get into it. Cause y'all know the internet is talking. The internet is talking. So yes, I went broke for maybe a year and a half, because that happened to me. So here I am. I ain't went to college. I wasn't working a job. I'm depending on 2K a month off YouTube because that was the only bread I had after they snatched my money away. So do y'all see how that can like really fuck up somebody's life? Like, they took the money away. So literally my revenue on YouTube went from 15K to 2K, bruh. Yes. Because I was using the intro. So, right? So around this time, YouTube demonetized my videos. That's when my life came at a stop. Like, I was dependent on YouTube money. That was like my main go-to. So when YouTube snatched my money for using that sample instrumental, even though my voice was on it, even though I low-key mixed up the beat, they still snatched my money.
I don't know though, if you've been on YouTube for a long period of time, you know you cannot mess around when it comes to music. Whether it's fair or not, these music companies are brutal. Even if you put your own vocals or change the beat a little bit, they could still demonetize or even remove the entire video. And because it was part of her intro, she took a massive hit. And I'm gonna be honest, I had to look this person up because I didn't know who they were, but this is an account with over 671,000 subscribers. However, her most recent video was uploaded about 2 weeks ago and got only 2,500 views. So yet again, another example of making a ton of money, $15,000 to $20,000 a month, and because of copyright issues along with the popularity falling off, it's just not a viable option anymore. And I know when we talk about this type of topic, there are a lot of people that don't have any sympathy. We got a comment from you guys right here. Now, where did I put my tiny violin? And I definitely understand where people are coming from when you start seeing clips like this.
There's a reason a lot of NBA players go broke, even though they're making as much as they're making. When you sign $100 million, you really thinking $100 million, not realizing you're losing 40 million of that. So if you're not realizing that you only have 60 million over 6 years, you're only making 10 million a year, and you're thinking you're making 20 million a year, you can miscalculate, which a lot of players do. Then you get into buying a whole bunch of hard assets that have hard bills, and then your ego allows you to go broke because you don't want to adjust your life at the end. You want to still live the same lifestyle so people don't think you broke. So then you go broke, trying to pretend you're not broke. It's weird behavior.
Well, I do definitely understand what he's saying. Of course, if you sign a $100 million contract, you think that you're going to get $100 million. But the IRS is definitely going to take a good chunk of that, $40 million. It also does depend on what state you live in the country. It could be even more than that. And then, of course, the lifestyle creep. You have to have the biggest mansion, the nicest cars, all the designer clothes that cost a ton of money, and God forbid anything happens to you. You get a career-ending injury and it's all over. But we could go over to the comments, 10 million a year and people can still go broke. Why not invest and earn multiple streams of income? Because some just don't think like that. They believe the checks are going to keep rolling in and nothing's ever going to go wrong. Then there's a lot of comments like this: you're only making $10 million a year, only 10 a year, only 60 million. Is this a joke? That's more than enough to live your best life and continue generations of wealth. And we could add on to that with another comment from you guys, OBJ, explaining that he has to pay taxes, shelter, and transportation, as if the rest of us don't have to do that too. Talking about when Odell Beckham Jr. was complaining about his $100 million contract because he only ended up getting about 50 million of that, but all you really have to do is stick that money into a high yield savings account or CD. It doesn't even have to be crazy real estate investments or stocks. A 2 or 3% return on that money, you could basically do whatever you want for the rest of your life.
Lamelo Ball makes $38 million this year, but how much does he actually take home? Right away, $14 million goes to federal income taxes, which is 37%. Then living in Charlotte, North Carolina costs him another $1.5 million in local taxes, which is 3.99%. Then the NBA holds 10% of his salary in escrow, and if league revenue comes up short this year, Lamelo won't get his $3.8 million back. Then he has to pay $1.5 million to his agent, which is 4%. After all that, Lamelo's real take home is $17 million, which is 45% of his salary.
Immediately going over to the comments, only 17 million? Poor dude. And another one saying nearly 20 million to taxes is actually insane, bro, which I definitely agree with. But still, I think everybody on the face of the planet would enjoy a $17 million a year salary. Unfortunately, a lot of the stats when it comes to professional athletes going broke are not good at all. Roughly 78% of NFL players experience financial distress or bankruptcy within 2 years of retirement. Just 2 years. And 60% of NBA players go broke within 5 years. And going down to some of the causes, key factors include lack of financial literacy, high cost lifestyles, keeping up with the Joneses, failed business ventures, and short career lifespans where earnings are compressed into a few years.
I do a lot of NFL rookie camps, and I'm standing in front of these kids going, hey, NFL stands for not for long. It's 3.8 years average. 78% of you will leave the league physically disabled for life. The divorce rate's fourfold the national average. The bankruptcy rate's tenfold the national average. So you generally don't come out of the NFL well unless you just decide I'm not going to be a stereotypical athlete. But the ones that are really sad, it's like I'm sitting on stage and this kid's like, give my mom $10,000 at the first of the month, and she calls me on the 15th and needs another $10,000. What do you do? How do you tell your mama no? I said, well, honey, your mom's got the same problem you got. This isn't going to last. And then what's she going to do? Because you can't do this for 20 years. We're going to get your mom on a budget where she can take advantage of this. If you want to help her, what you teach her to fish, not just give her fish. And the same thing for you. Well, I mean, he had six cars and bought 3 of his buddies a car and thought he was Elvis Presley and all this stuff. And, and a year and a half later, he's out of the league.
So this brings another issue into play. We're not just talking about all these athletes instantly going and buying every Ferrari and Lamborghini they see until they don't have any money. A lot of them end up taking care of their entire family and even friends on their salary. So you think it's bad when they're overspending, living an insanely luxurious lifestyle. Imagine when they also have to pay 10 more people to do it with them as well. Just another real easy way to go broke fast. But in this next clip, we could take a look at one of these NFL rookie contracts.
This was my contract from 2021, a pretty standard deal that most undrafted free agents sign. 3-year deals. The difference in 2026 is that the total value is for $3,100,000. That's without a signing bonus. So for me, you would tack on another $10,000 there. Now, the interesting part is the free agent piece, a restricted free agent RFA that you can see there. That's after 3 years. But in order to hit the market as an unrestricted free agent and test every team, you have to play for 4 years. Now, I did not fulfill this contract. I was cut at the end of the preseason. So the only money that you get here is the guaranteed dollars at signing, as well as some money in the preseason.
So even though he got signed and his salary was a little bit over $800,000 a year, he basically got none of it because he ended up getting cut. And that is very common across all professional sports. All he ended up getting was a $10,000 signing bonus plus some money for preseason, and I don't think I have to tell you that's not nearly enough to survive.
This is why Olympians are so broke. Nearly 60% of elite athletes globally don't consider themselves financially stable.
We're not sponsored athletes on cereal boxes and Gatorade bottles.
I started driving for DoorDash.
I worked at Panera, a bank. The financial strain is huge.
There's no paycheck for competing in the Olympic Games. For most countries, the podium is the only path to a payday. Look at this chart from USA Today. Countries decide whether or not they'll award bonuses for medals, and if so, how much. Singapore has the highest gold medal payout. The US is ranked 15th, over $37,000 for gold, $22,500 for silver, and $15,000 for bronze. And that's before tax. But most athletes will never make it to the podium, so they survive on sponsorships if they're lucky enough to get them. And in the US, on stipends from their teams.
And even if they win gold, that's probably not nearly enough to cover the cost of training. So I know everyone goes crazy each time the Olympics are on TV, but those same athletes we're all watching might not have anything in their bank accounts.
Bro, if I don't make over $50,000 in a month, I'm negative. Literally. I ain't gonna make no money. So I gotta work. I have no choice.
You still gonna be blessed though, because a lot of people, majority of people don't make that in a whole year.
But that's how I can keep up. I literally have to make $50,000.
Money isn't everything.
But money does become a very important factor when your lifestyle warrants a $600,000 a year salary, just to survive, I guess. And you wonder why there are so many examples out there of celebrities and influencers going broke. Being rich and living paycheck to paycheck is crazy. He's cooked because this streaming stuff is not going to last. Again, you have a shelf life. He's living beyond his means. His bills are $600,000 a year. He needs better money management because unfortunately one day he might end up like this. The washed up influencer that thought TikTok was forever and never had a backup plan.
Oh, we got a cowboy. Let's go, come on, let's win this battle. Come on, keep. Ooh, my biggest video. I'll tell you if let's get some galaxies. I'll tell you if I get a galaxy. Yo, Mark, thank you for the galaxy. Thank you. Hit the renegade. I don't want to hit the renegade. Give you a galaxy if you hit the renegade. What up?
Immediately going over to the comment section, Jason Nash didn't have to call Jason Nash out like that. We've gone over that creator in a previous video, this exact situation. A super popular person on Vine, YouTube, TikTok, but that was a number of years ago and his popularity has fallen off pretty hard and it turned into him begging for money from his fans on TikTok Live, doing the cringy battles. It was just not the greatest look. Other people saying Lance Stewart and Fulcrum as well, but even if TikTok creators aren't begging their fans for money, the ad rates are just not there anymore, and a whole ton of people are getting kicked out of the creator program entirely.
I just woke up to find out that my main source of income, TikTok, is not paying me anymore. They kicked me out of the creator fund. They didn't give me any warning, and they took away all the money I made this month. Every ounce, every dollar they took away. And let me tell you why. Because apparently I have a business account, which I never even remembered even switching from a personal to a business account, but apparently I did. And they kicked me out, no warning. I know you guys are gonna say I'm whining and all that, but no warning, which is interesting. No notification, which is interesting. And they're just kicking me out. Now the big thing is, I can't even appeal it. I literally can't even appeal it. It's grayed out. What is this? You don't even give me a chance to explain. So I submitted a report elsewhere and but I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, this is my main source of income. And this is how I afford the food videos.
And now it sounds like he's basically screwed. And this isn't a one-off issue. We could sit here all day and watch example after example. This has been happening for quite a while now. First, the ad rates in general tanked. So even if you got a whole ton of views on your TikTok, you weren't making much money. And then out of nowhere, people were getting kicked out of the creator program, which is the way that you make money. And in virtually all the cases, it's not justified. The reasonings are wild. But if this is your main source of income, there's not much else you could do now.
To remind you that most of your favorite influencers are broke too. Remember that the statistic is 57% of folks in the US don't even have $1,000 in emergency funds. And this is also true for people who have a lot of money. You have a lot of money and you spend a lot of money and you still can be poor. This is why we are seeing so many people sell their souls to organizations or companies to get wristbands or whatever it is to get into these events because they don't have any money. They're probably spending all of their money. It is not normal to go to these events all the time. It's not normal to spend all this money all the time. You know what is normal? You know what is normal. Sitting at home with coffee and enjoying your mortgage that you work hard and pay for. That's what's normal. Don't feel bad. These are the highlight reels of folks' lives. They're not the real behind the scenes.
Now, even though most of the examples we've seen today are primarily the celebrities or influencers' fault, whether they were living above their means, not paying attention to their money, or just lying to their fans about the wealth, there are quite a bit of child stars that have definitely been taken advantage of over the years.
While I was touring my original music, I learned that I had $0 left in one of my bank accounts, which made no sense because I was ultra frugal and I'd been working since childhood. There should have been, honestly, close to $500,000 in there. But when I investigated everything, I discovered my former business team and other adults in my life had organized a plan where they were paying themselves extra money from this one account since I was a kid. And apparently, as a kid, I had agreed to that, but I didn't understand what was happening. And years later, even after they weren't involved in my business like before, and even after my work slowed down and I wasn't making nearly as much money, they continued paying themselves the same amount from this account.
So you could legitimately do everything right, not have the crazy rich lifestyle or any of that, but the management around her took advantage of her when she was just a child. Of course she didn't know what she was doing. I know another big example everybody knows about is Macaulay Culkin with his parents, the same thing. And you could also branch in a lot of the celebrities in the music industry.
We have all heard stories about artists losing millions of dollars, but most people don't know how. So, a few weeks ago, I asked 3 legacy artists and 2 indie artists to tell me their story. They gave me their approval, so I'm going to read you exactly how they lost their money. A few lost thousands of dollars, others lost millions of dollars. Really bad. Let me read you what they wrote. The first one is a legacy artist who lost $10 million. And he said he sold his publishing for $10 million about 5 years ago. He invested most of it in the stock market with his stockbroker. He never put any money aside for taxes. He said he currently owes $850,000 in taxes. He told me he thought that the investment in the stock market would make enough return to pay for those taxes on $10 million. And also then he said, well, my house was taken. I don't do drugs or alcohol, and I just spent a lot of money on trips and giving to friends and family and stuff like that. And also, he said that now, unfortunately, the IRS took his house, and he rents a room in somebody else's house, and there's no money and an $850,000 tax bill.
Okay, so we're going to come back to this video for another example, but the IRS, again, is not messing around. And I think one of the best examples of that is this next clip.
Wesley Snipes' bankruptcy was so brutal, it also put him in prison. He'd earned over $50 million from a range of different roles, although despite purchasing an Aston Martin Vanquish, as well as mansions in both Florida and New Jersey, Wesley refused to lodge a single tax return over a 7-year period, and was therefore ordered to pay the IRS $23.5 million. Wesley tried to wiggle his way out of paying by making the strange claim that he was a non-resident alien of the United States despite being born there.
He knew he had to pay the taxes. He was just trying to find ways to avoid them.
Although things got a whole lot weirder when Snipes declared he had no taxable US income, making the IRS Form 1040 absolutely the wrong form for me to file. He also claimed taxes withheld were stolen funds, whilst adding the IRS deceives people to terrorize, enslave, or pillage taxpayers. Although confronting the IRS was a very stupid strategy, as Wesley was immediately charged with 6 counts of willfully failing to file federal income tax returns, for which he was given a federal prison sentence.
So I mean, there are a lot of things celebrities get away with because of their wealth and influence, but it's pretty apparent that dodging taxes aren't one of them.
So the indie artists, the two indie artists, one had alcohol and addiction and spent everything they had. They said they were making about $4,000 a month, but unfortunately they signed away their masters and their publishing, and now they're broke, and he's trying to rebuild his life. And the other one, he said that his manager had access to his royalty portal, and he asked to open up a joint bank account, and they stole the money, about $38,000 over 3 years. Never ever do that. No one should have access to your royalty portal except for you.
The more I've seen clips from the music industry, the more predatory it becomes. I know it's extremely difficult to navigate that whole scene without having some sort of producer management company, but it almost feels like every one of them take advantage of the artists.
They just sent me some from Spotify where I got 1 billion streams, right? My publisher hit me. I said, break that down. How much money is that? That shit wasn't even $45,000.
That's crazy. Going straight over to the comment section, he doesn't own the full records. Someone should tell him that. Spotify pays $8,000 per million streams. His contract probably sucks. So it even looks like Snoop Dogg has a bad deal for his own music. And this kind of stuff only seems to be getting worse.
When people was asking me, why you told people about when you went broke and all that shit, I'm like, because motherfuckers need to know that it's possible. I don't give a how good you are. It's possible. You ain't gonna make money forever if you stop paying attention to how you make money, and if you get too comfortable and this pattern. Once you see this pattern, if teach us the patterns, we won't have a problem. We will see it coming. That's the problem. We don't see it coming. I didn't know I had went broke until I asked I hit my accountant like, yo, it's this house around the corner I want to get. And he was like, you ain't got no money. What? What house? You gonna have to sell yours. Somebody get a new one. I'm like, what?
So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.